This is Kessben 93.3 FM, a new wave of excellence in radio.
Happy for the Senegalese. And before say about into the game, no make about the number of semi-finals on the rim from 1965 to 1990 to 2002 to the last AFCON in 2019 and also be in the finals. And Sawasha, I think that we know is so significant in the sense that Omo got 2 consecutive finals, and it has never happened in the history of Senegalese football. You need to give the credit to Aliou Cissé. He's done pretty well for taking the Teranga Lions of Senegal into the finals of the AFCON on 2 consecutive occasions, which is 2019 and 2021. And Sergio Sewashenzoa, all the 3 finals are Senegal akum were the finals of the AFCON. That man Aliou Cissé is involved because 2002 the golden generation the beer man for takase pandits if you quite names no obeka the likes of Khalil Fadiga, Mohari Kamara, no Elijah Sinu Diouf no. Now it was this certain coach Aliou Cissé who was the captain of the squad in 2002 when they went to that AFCON, reached the finals, eventually losing out to Cameroon on post-match penalties. And so the performance no remu into the 2002 World Cup Japan Korea, and they gave us a very wonderful performance. Obia Enrenfi that 1-0 score against France in the opening game of the World Cup in 2002 when the late Pape Bouba Diop, former player of Portsmouth, his soul shall forever rest in peace, our score daily goal. Performance done from the group stages against Denmark, against Uruguay, beating the Swedish team during the golden goal generation time. Now Henry Kamara shared twice, and unfortunately losing out to Turkey. And Omotimia Pikia. After that, you saw say Mamadou Niangmo, the likes of Diomansi Kamara, Muni Frederick Mendy, ebe take you over from these guys. All of a sudden, ebe drew maybe not even to organize a squad and even make it to the AFCON na koyasem. In 2010, Omontimiama. In 2012, ewo Gabon, Guinea Equatorial, the Senegalese were disaster. From Dia to Diame to Frederick Mendy to Damien Ndoye, all these guys, the cup of squad and no more, the likes of Idris Aliou Cissé Dembaba, any Papis Demba Cissé, the likes of Abdoulaye Faye, any Amdi Mustafa Faye, munina eba squad mu, but obiye refio mo based on the fact that omo ntimia more modern, omo ama me bobra ama the Senegalese national team. All of a sudden, after 2015, omo call ground zero after group stage exist no, they started building up. And in 2017, you saw them being a quarter finalist, losing out to eventual champions, the Cameroonians. In 2019, which was 2 years later after 2017, there they were in the finals, losing out to the Phoenix Desert Foxes of Algeria. And quite apart from that, this time around, they are in the finals. And Sergio, you have to be very happy for the Senegalese, who the current group of players from our building. Sergio, we cut the national teams saying they were top-notch goalkeepers in Senegal on the continent right now. To have Edouard Mendy, to have Alfred Gomis, to have Seny Dieng, these are top-notch goalkeepers. From midfield, no, from defense, from Bounassa, from Fondé Ballo-Touré, from Abdou Diallo, from Kalidou Koulibaly, Shedsekou Koyate, Nampalys Mendy. The squad is marvelous. A very fantastic squad. And Sergio, it took discipline, plan, and said you must see Nyoma. And on my build do this place. Sergio, Oko Senegal, there is a desk mu efi. Jumani said they advise players on movements. So we a player na ubo team be na another team be they advise you based on the club by Oko. This is because Omu say make a good mover, a very good to your footballing career, and it also inure to the advantage of the country. Sergio, so we a player na ebia o Genoa na AC Milan pew na ebia Fiorentina pew na ebia Tottenham or mo be advise you based on the current crop of players that okwakochia no so be quite na wakwakonya playing time because when you playing time na ebe boa wa career na saba be boa national team no. And Sergio, they've done so well, reaching the finals for the 2nd consecutive time. Sergio, Edouard Mendy stories
no. I mean, we na producers no one hear George Mfege, George Mfege, Kumasi Asante Kotoko, and Olympics. Obi chesa ade Sadio Mane here na no Mfege ayebi okruma.
Okay.
Timi sa goal na Mfege share against Olympics no. Whitney mo mame na me hwa ade obi kai me sisi.
Yeah.
Ndi
Maka incident.
Okay.
Maka incident.
Maybe your far ball or the ball ko to.
Yes, yeah, Maka incident.
Also be ayebi okruma.
Maka incident.
Sadio Mane nye bibia engongo bia. But mo stage no so. Stage no.
Yeah.
Stage no.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you uncle?
So Sergio, Edward Mendy stories no say touch you kakra. January, free star Rene eba Chelsea last year January. Within that year Sergio, wako EFL Cup final babebo. Wako UEFA Champions League final. Wako FA Cup final. Osawo AFCON final.
And then wako UEFA Champions League final. Can you na watch imagine about Sergio, ni story necessary touch you kakra. Within this the best goalkeeper in the world. And within just short stints 1 year, a trail sending football now rising. And Sergio, the Senegalese, you need to give it to them. They've suffered a lot. Build it from the scratch. And quite apart from that, the squad also looks very young. Sadio Mane mo any Sheku Koyate muni Idrissa Gana guy or the senior man within the squad. Pape Matassa Obai, he's just only 19. Last season, make him move from Mets, even though Mets are Tottenham, but or remaining ever Mets. So going to next season, next season, I say, be free. Shebamba Dien, a very young guy, Olympic Marcel, Pape Alassane Gueye. These are young guys. Abdou Diallo, Fode Ballo Toure, and Sergio, these guys can give you about 5, 7 to 10 years going forward. National team, no. And this is the team. Aliou Cissé, Munya Abotrema, no, what me building. And to me, Sergio, I think I'll be very happy for them if they win the AFCON. Okay.
I'll be very, very happy for them based on
Senegal.
Based on Sergio Mosia Bre, any baby Sergio it's high time. I think so we the golden generation of 2002 now. This is also about one of the best squads. The big one, Sergio, Cameroon, Egypt. Start Omnisport, Paul Biya in Olimbe, Cameroon. Sergio, this is the match fit for the gods. And Sergio, Egypt taha Cameroon pa. Cameroon swasho moda. In 1984, during group stages, Egypt win 1-0. 2 years later, in 1986, Sergio the finals. I call it goalless draw. And Egypt, when hosting the competition, share Cameroon post-match penalties. And they win 2 years later, in 1988, the group stages. Roger Miller scored the only goal of the tie. In 1996, South Africa in a group. Cameroon share Egypt 2-1. Quite apart from that, in 2002, when Cameroon were on the rampage, when they were on their way to win the AFCON and to become the one and the only country without conceding a goal and winning the AFCON in 2002, share Egypt a goalless draw. And Sergio, from then on, Egypt dominance ababesi Cameroon so. Because in 2008, Ghana, they met twice, group stage finals. Ekoye 4-2 Babaya Sports Stadium. 2 goals from Mohamed Zidane, 2 goals from Hosni Abdurabu, and 2 goals from Samuel Eto'o. Omushia finals Accra no Rigobert Song the mistake Okoye and Mohamed Abutrika share the only goal of that game finals. Quite apart from that, they met again in the city of Benguela. The quarterfinals of Angola 2010. Ekoye 3-1. That day Ahmed Hassan scored twice and it ended 3-1 after extra time. And Mohamed Dagi Gedon so the bako kan Emma Koye 3-1. So from that time Omoenshia till 2017, which was the finals of Mushia, Wabra Mohamed El Neni shared the first goal, Emma Nicholas Nkulu Tika, and Vincent Abubakar so the bako kan. Now, so what should Cameroonians set up a board that finals now? Some of them are part of the squad. I know Mubakang. Already Andy Abo Michael Ngajingado, they call him the Minister of Defense. Vincent Abubakar is also one of the main guys in that squad, and he even scored the final goal of the competition. You cannot go without talking of Collins Fire. Collins Fire has also been a revelation from that 2015-2017 time now. Mobabeji team SC or Mobetiso. But the main problem about Egypt in say it's likely they will not get Mohammed Shanawi, they will not get Mohammed Abu Gabal Gabaski to be in post. So in this case, they have to rely on Mohamed Sobi, that young goalkeeper from Petrojet. Okay. The goalkeeping side in the affect Egypt. So Washa, Egypt have not been convincing in this competition, based on the fact that Oman Maya flamboyant football. From that first game against Nigeria, Muluzu 1-0 near Kelechi Yanachu. They won 1-0 against Guinea-Bissau, Mohamed Salah, Ketesi Mohamed Salah. They won 1-0 again against Equatorial, against Sudan, Ketesi Mohamed Abdel Moumin. And it was in the game against Les Elephants de la Côte d'Ivoire. And we raised the game. No? You saw them, they gave us a very flamboyant performance and a goalless draw. And a post-match penalty. But in the last game against the Moroccans, you saw the big boys within the Egyptian setup stepping up and rising up to the challenge. Mohamed Salah scored and provided an assist after say Sofiani Boufal shared the first goal at the Morocco. And so Washa, Egypt conceded only 2 goals per this competition. The one against Nigeria and the one against Morocco. And Omashe 4. Nature so mon concede and Omon San Shebibri. The coach, Carlos Correa are making sure say build the base ni. But say Joe, another unfortunate thing I be affect you mo. Ahmed Egazi why ruled out of the competition after that the injury a course against Morocco. But they have Mohamed Allah, Abdel Monim, and then Ayman Ashraf can also partner in the defense. And say Joe, Cameroon so say Washa in this competition until that game against Gambia they were conceding. In the first game against Burkina Faso, they conceded the first goal of the competition. Gustavo Sangari. Before say Vincent Aboubakar shared the 2 goals. No. In that second game against Ethiopia, they conceded. The Ethiopians scored first before the Cameroonians came strongly. They came back strongly and won the game 4-1. In the third game against Kessben, so Musa conceded. Okay. Apart from that, against the Comoros Island also in the round 16, they conceded. It was until that game against Gambia no one conceded. So many more say I feel Cameroon will share competition as you have many more because these are opponents here, match of their lives. It's a match fit for the goals. And say Joe, I will not be surprised if match not run 90 minutes.
So
yes, a match not run 90 because Obia be careful, say Joe.
Until here's a question time.
Or I predicted Cameroon Senegal final. Senegal let me and still, I'm in favor of the Cameroonians as the favorite. Okay. But Sebo no ko extra time Seju and Shedan Yemi Wawa. Based on the fact that we are very, very, very cautious in there. Okay. Because in the Cameroon backline, the coach will need to map up a very good strategy. Obia Junior Koye Salah. But you saw Ahmed Said Zizo and then Mohamed Trezeguet said you move free bench bar. They also give you an options in my Egyptian national team. No, quite apart from that, you cannot also forget Marmouche, that Stuttgart 22 JC. And this guy also have the drive. And Andrew Onano said you in this competition, even though he's a top class goalkeeper, top notch, but why yes some mistakes be, and then if you commit such kind of mistakes, Mohamed Salah will punish you. Okay. So Joe, Egypt. To lose the game for me, the Cameroonians update them, but extra time. I said you know, Vice President of Equatorial Guinea will donate $1 million at the Ama national team. No? $1 million. Yes.
Players,
yes. Also, my idea.
Okay.
Also, promise you, must win 3 games or competition. Idea why I'm mom. Yeah. Oh no, no. Okay. Or ye president in the bar.
All right.
Yes. Or ye president in the bar. And so the very good information about say victims now call or stampede no. Free hospital. Who say Tony Cry the chair? Yes, no more training grounds.
Training grounds.
FIFA Club World Cup
yeah.
So Saturday in Ali Bebo, and then Al Jazeera, and then AS Pirate from Tahiti.
Okay.
So from Shasiane. Subsequent week, which is next week, Chelsea. So, Mobedru
UAE semi-final.
Yes. Sana didn't. Yeah.
Okay. Awa Mohammed, the man for can say utini mu yedu kakra te say Mikia. Enim de obetimi dia ye. Yeah, so utini mu yedu kakra te say Mikia. Minim nyoma nka obetimi de ewuram de asi.
Question where me answer me.
So me question na me busa.
Okay.
Okay. Mu you do kakra say Mickey. You think I be hard papa. Mickey dey no say on said that you. All right, coach.